Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya, and welcome to our special series of interviews for the LF Energy Spring Summit 2021. And today we have with us Antonello Monti, professor at RWTH Aachen University. Antonello, first of all, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Tell me a bit about the SOGNO project. Also, explain what it means and how the project originated.
So the project originally started as a European project funded by the so-called Horizon 2020 project program, which is a program of the European Commission to support research and innovation in Europe. These are programs where you have normally projects lasting something like 3 years and involving cooperation of industry and university. SONIA was developed as one of those projects, and we came up with a flexible and open architecture for distribution grid automation. And then we had the chance to test these algorithms and this architecture, mostly the IT architecture, in real grids within the SONIA project. The experience was good, so we also continue developing the project in other research initiatives at the European level. And then at the end, given that we realized they had a lot of potential, we proposed this as a solution that's in the Linux Foundation. So as a university, we gave the code that was already developed from the beginning as an open source license. We proposed that code as the kernel to start also in the Linux Foundation. So SONIA, the acronym changed meaning between the project and now the application in the Linux Foundation to stress that is service-oriented in the sense of using microservices architecture in developing the platform. This is a key change for distribution grid automation, moving from automation as a monolithic solution to a modular software architecture in which different microservices can be plugged into a database. And depending on the application, you select different services.
As you rightly said, that it was part of the Horizon, it's a European Union initiative. Now the project is also at Linux Foundation. Talk a bit about the actual status of the project. Is it still a EU project? Is it an LF energy project? Who is funding the project? Who is looking after the governance of project? Where is the code hosted?
The European project is over. So the funding for the European Commission, specifically for SONIA, are not there anymore. We completed the project last year. So now SONIA is fully a Linux Foundation project. What is interesting, though, is that we have other projects which are already directly using the SONIA platform as starting point for further development. Currently, I'm coordinating one project called Platone, again, Horizon 2020, which we are using this platform. And I'm technical manager of another project called EdgeFlex, where we are using the same platform, which means that we are getting more and more experience on the practical application and in developing new services. And whatever we develop new, then we bring it back into the Linux Foundation. Same time, we built in the Linux Foundation a working group. So we have a technical committee supervising the development. And this is bringing other contribution also and cooperation with other players, which are not involved in the European project, which are not even from Europe. For example, one very active at the moment is Osisoft, which is one also the other Linux Foundation members, very active in our group and bringing contribution. And this way we are expanding, thanks to the foundation, the availability of open source components and services that are part of the SONIA platform.
I want to understand from you, you already mentioned some of the projects that you are leading. Can you talk about what role is open source playing within the energy sector? Traditionally, energy sector like telcos, they have been like proprietary black boxes, all, proprietary software, but it's kind of moving towards open source software, commodity hardware, white boxes. Talk about how do you see emergence of open source or embrace how the energy sector is embracing open source?
This is a very, very good questions and very much a a topic under rapid development. I think just a couple of years ago, if you were talking to any utility and bring in open source software, they will just say, no way, no chance. But what people are realizing is that open source is actually a fantastic way to speed up the development process, first of all. And the second is also the best way to build interface and interoperability. That's what we're really learning in the Platone project, because in that case, the platform is really a glue that allows to bring different solutions together, which means that it's not even black and white. It doesn't mean that you have to be a fully open source solution, but you have some open source components which play the key role and allow the system as a whole to be better than the components themselves. And that's, I think, one of the most important lessons that people are learning. That is how quickly, thanks to open source software, you bring things together, achieving something at the system level that you wouldn't be able to do alone.
One more thing is that if you do look at open source traditionally, or in general, there are so many projects. They come from so many different places. Europe is a very big hub. A lot of Linux kernel out there in Europe, especially in Germany and other places. So it at times become kind of challenging for these open source projects to interact and collaborate. But Linux Foundation has kind of made it easier. Number one is that they have a very good system in place. They have very good governance in place, structure in place. Plus, there are other open source projects part of Linux Foundation. So just look at energy sector. There may be IoT, other things that you want to leverage. But there is a Linux Foundation project already there. So the cross-pollination becomes easier. If you organize an open source summit, all these players can very easily come under the same umbrella and interact with each other. So it kind of creates a I would not call it platform, but kind of a place where you can get everybody under the same roof. So talk about the role that Linux Foundation or LF Energy is playing in bringing different players together and also allowing you to leverage a lot of projects that originated outside of the energy sector.
Yeah, this is a very good point. And actually, this is one of the major exercises we're currently doing in the SONIA technical board, because we need other components. And we don't need to look further. We just find them within the Linux Foundation. And then the cooperation is easy. That, as you say, all the governance is there, and then you're protected. And at the same time, the other project is protected. So the cooperation is simple. And that happened, as you are saying, is happening already within the Linux Foundation Energy. There are components which are not already part of SONIA, but SONIA needs, and we can find them in other components, in other projects. At the same time, also, we will start looking at other external to the energy sector projects that can be really important. So, for example, when I look at SONIA has one of the implementation options to be a distributed platform on the edge. So that means we need operating system on the edge. And then you need special purpose operating system that are really tailored for the edge computing. And there you go, you have a project in the Linux Foundation that gives you that. And so you build a very large ecosystem of interaction across sectors that only a large foundation like Linux can offer.
Since we are talking about open source, we are talking about LF Energy, we are talking Linux Foundation, we have this LF Energy Spring Summit going on. Talk about your participation at the summit.
Well, we'll obviously present the SONIA project together with my collaborator, with my assistant, Dr. Markus Mirz, which is a major software architect of the platform. And we will showcase where we are, when we are going. What we hope is that presented to a larger audience, we will be able to get new members to be interested, members within the foundation that want to support because they learn more about the details, but particularly also external that will join the foundation and bring further contribution to our project. We'll also have a demo, so that's we have a little video that demonstrates how the platform runs and without the possibility. And so it will be a total showcase of the current status of the SONIA project.
Anything else that you think we should discuss before we wrap this up?
I think what is also something that I hope will develop because of the event and let's say growing the awareness is to grow even more the cooperation beyond Europe. As I say, SONIA has been, to begin with, and also with the continuation, a lot of European focused project. I say we have some first cooperation also in the US. It looks like something will come from Canada. I really think that what I hope to see developing in this global dimension, because then if you reach that level of acceptance, you become a de facto standard, and this is the major point for an automation platform. That's something that could really speed up digitalization, and particularly also I had some discussion. This will be a tremendous asset for countries that are going through a rapid development, because it will offer through those open source platform a reference implementation to start in the digitalization process, and then overcoming some major hurdle to enter in a sector that in principle could look like extremely expensive when you look at grid automation, and vice versa, having a door to enter, build the first component, and through time get into more commercial solutions, but at the same time benefiting a lot from the open source. I think this global dimension will be something I really hope to achieve soon, thanks to the visibility that an event like the summit could give us.
Antonello, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about not only the project, the involvement of the Linux Foundation, open source angle there, how it is kind of being embraced by the energy sector, and especially this event. I love to talk to you again, so thank you.
So it was my pleasure. Thank you very much.